I'm serious about that. Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is the show where we talk about THC, you know, truth, hope, and change. Things that we need a lot in our world, and how they relate to actual THC. On the show today, we're going to have 8 out of 10 Glenn join us for the 420 session, as always. And we'll make a visit out to the new Winnebago, the CSP Healing Wave Ganja RV. And nothing to report by way of like firebombing or anything like that this week, so that's good. And we'll just cover a few of the things that have been going on and do a little bit of update on these things, and that's how we're going to do the show today. We are on the cusp of court. 1 week from today, we will be in court. Funny, my lawyer messaged me today and said that I don't necessarily need to be there if I don't want to be, that he's going to argue our case, against the Crown, who are going to try to explain to a judge why they think it's in the public's interest to continue to spend money prosecuting us to try to harm us and punish us for all the sins that we've committed here with the CSP and the Healing Wave. I'm absolutely appalled, as I have been since the beginning of this whole thing. It doesn't get better, it just keeps getting worse. I don't think that the Crown is going to give it up easy, having spent all this money and all this time. The amount of disclosure that was involved in this case indicates that they have, for over a year, been spending an enormous amount of taxpayer dollars on investigating an investigation that the VPD termed Investigation Blaze, Project Blaze, which is very ironic, or maybe it's telling. I'm not sure which. But as for the last couple of weeks, what we've been telling you about is the firebombing of our RV, which certainly went up in a blaze. And we're now 3 weeks in from that event happening, and we really don't have any further knowledge than we had originally as to what caused this. We did get the person breaking in the night before, who on his exit announced that he was going to firebomb the RV. But we've never gotten any reports as to it being any particular group. No one has come and suggested that maybe we should have taken that message that was sent. So it becomes curiouser and curiouser as to the actual source of that event. Maybe it was just a random meth crazed firebug that had an issue with us for some reason that he thought had happened. I can't really imagine that. We look after everybody here. We've got really, really high quality products at really, really low prices. And if anybody's not happy with something that they get, it's quickly replaced. We have the best customer relations policies that there are, because that's what I believe in here. So I'm not sure why someone would be unhappy with our service or our products and decide that it was worth such an extreme violent act. That doesn't make much sense to me. Although I live in a neighborhood and we operate in a neighborhood where a lot of things don't make a lot of sense, there are a lot of very crazy people here who are easily triggered and do act out in very extreme ways. So, I mean, it doesn't mean that's not what happened. It means that it doesn't sound right to me yet. I really don't know. But, as those people in the neighborhood asked around, if it had been someone locally that was not wanting to compete with our $1 grams or our $10 shatter, or the other really low barrier prices that we have here, maybe it could have been somebody that was involved with selling people hard drugs that we're actively and openly trying to get people off of. We don't know, but because none of the people in the neighborhood that we're associated with, who care about us, who've been out there with their ear to the ground trying to figure all this out, haven't come back with anything. And like I say, there's been no one that said, sent a little extra nudge to say, hey, we gave you a warning and you're still here. What's going on? It starts to make me feel like maybe there's something more corporate involved. It's not even a hunch. It's just what happens when other possibilities become eliminated, that there becomes few other options that would make sense. I don't know that it makes sense for the corporate world or the government world to going to the extreme of firebombing an RV. I don't know. And that's the thing. And I guess that's what I'm here to report at this time, is that here we are 3 weeks later and we just don't know. We haven't changed much, if anything. I mean, we certainly do have some added safety protocols. We were a couple of weeks underneath the tent, but for over a week now we've been in our new home, our new RV. We're very happy about that. It's a Ford as opposed to a Chevy. We'll see which one wins this race. Got a little more headroom, got some shag carpeting on the walls. After all, it's 43 years old. But that's great for this time of year when it's really cold outside. It does have a lot better insulation than the other one had, a little more headroom. So we're happy to have the RV back. I have not been leaving it parked where we park it like I did the other one. I've been moving it every night. I had thought that parking it in front of the police station where I park my other car at night, it's just a half a block up the road, would be a good idea. Difficult to do. There's not much parking around the police station. Most of it is for police vehicles, but there is some public parking there. And like I say, for a long time, for over 2 years, I've been parking my vehicle there at night because for the first 6 months that we were here on this block, I had my car broken into 3 times. So on the 3rd time, I finally got smart and decided I could park my car across from the police station, and that would be a lot safer. I also felt that would be the case for the RV. And so on a Sunday evening, there was not many cars parked up there in the little bit of public parking that there is, and I managed to get the RV parked up there, and that was great. It worked out a lot better. I didn't have to take a taxi to go and get it, and all the rest that I have to do in the mornings when I park it at my friend's place. But I then on another night, I guess it was the Friday or Thursday night last week, this past week, there was space there, and I put the RV there. And Friday morning, walking up to the RV, I could see that the back door had been jimmied, the back window had been smashed, the curtain was hanging out the back of it. Upon opening the door or looking in there, actually they never did get the door unlocked. They didn't get the lock to unlock. They crawled in through the window, whoever he was or whatever they were, or whoever, I don't know. You see, the thing of it is there's cameras there, and that's what I thought foolishly, was that first I thought, well, nobody's going to break in here. It's the police station right across the street and the courthouse that we're parked in front of, and there's cameras all over the place, but those cameras actually don't pick up the back of the RV, the way it was parked there, and so that if somebody got to the RV with a hood and a mask perhaps, then we wouldn't be able to recognize them anyway. But none of that matters, because the truth is that the second thing I thought about the safety of it was that there's cameras there, and if somebody broke in, then we'd be able to see who it was, right? And that would maybe solve something, right? But no, it didn't solve anything, because for one thing, you can't get through on the non-emergency line. I talked to a couple of the officers right there, and they told me this is what you have to do. You have to phone the non-emergency number and you have to report it. Well, I phoned that number and got put on hold, and a series of recorded messages later, and an hour plus later, I realized that this isn't going to work. This is nonsense. They kept coming on and saying all other operators or all of our operators are answering 911 calls at the moment, so it'll be a while before anybody gets to you. So I gave up on that, because some of the other recordings were talking about that if there was $10,000 in losses or damage, then I could report it online. Then they'd probably take it seriously. But my impression of all that is that because I've got a few $100s damage to the back door of a 43-year-old RV, and even though the inside was turned upside down, every compartment was open and had been scrutinized, there was really nothing that was stolen. So I don't have a $10,000 claim. They're not going to care enough to do anything about it. Nobody's going to be looking at those tapes to see who it was. Nobody's going to be sharing that information with me to say, hey, does this look like somebody you recognize, or anything like that. I was just foolish to think that parking it up there would make a difference. So now every night I take it over a mile away and put it at a friend's place and then go get it in the morning. which is okay until it doesn't start, which happened the other morning where it turned the key and it didn't want to go. I found that there was a brand new starter as I got underneath there and gave it a couple of whacks, and that didn't help either, but I lurched it forward a couple of times and I got it to turn over and I got it to start, and it hasn't given me any trouble starting since then. I'm going to have a mechanic look at it. But yeah, the perilous times of the CSP trying to make all this work with a whole bunch of obstacles and barriers in front of us, and that's the opposite of what needs to be happening here. I remember well, and I've mentioned it a few times. I think even in last week's show I mentioned that Professor Zachary Walsh, who is the foremost expert on cannabinoid replacement therapies in Canada, had written us a beautiful letter of support back when we were filing our application with Health Canada over 2 years ago. And he was very clear in his letter about how what we're doing is actually helping to save people's lives. It's rescuing them from addiction, that there should be no obstacles or barriers put in our way, that we should be encouraged and allowed to expand and continue our work with. And that keeps coming back to me that he wrote that, because all we've got with our interactions with governments is nothing but obstacles, barriers, and delays. This program of ours that was started, it'll be 6 years this February that we actually started out giving care packs away to people and demonstrating how effective that could be. I mean, that's what this was a demonstration. And I tried to make it an actual project that would be supported by government. That was the real plan. I didn't want to have to do demonstrations every day. What I wanted to do was be able to properly address government and explain to them clearly that the science shows that cannabis, especially in the form of high-dose edibles and concentrates, can be very effective in replacing the use of opioids and mitigating the problems associated with that, but most importantly, in helping people get through withdrawal and getting off those drugs completely. So what I hoped is that the City Council, mostly, would pay attention to what I had to say, would take a look at the studies that were backing up what I was saying, and that they would support us in what we were doing. But that didn't happen at all. I presented to City Council. I held up a clear plastic bag with a half a dozen high-dose edibles, and I told them that was the real safe supply. That when they're talking about a safe supply for people that are involved with these drugs, well, there was nothing safer than a bag of cannabis edibles. And that for all these good reasons, we needed to make sure that they were as easily available as possible to people, and that was the gist of what I was trying to do. I had the backing of Vandu. I've been associated with Vandu for a long time, for almost 20 years prior to this. I've been involved with Vandu in numerous levels, doing numerous things with them, helping them with different actions, supporting them in what they were doing, but also they approached me back in 2009 and asked me to take lead with a green project of providing cannabis to the people that were using hard drugs as a harm reduction option. And that lasted only a couple of weeks before the lawyers for Coastal Health and for Vandu realized that that's what they were trying to do, and threatened to pull the funding if they continued to do that, which is atrocious, because that was a solid answer. But I had Vandu with me, and me with them. We are Vandu. That is what we are. That is what I said when I presented to the VPD board next. That we are Vandu. This is what we do at Vandu, is we solve the life-threatening problems that arise in this neighborhood, and we do it despite bad laws that would say that we can't do that. That's what they did with the Insight, the supervised injection site, and that's what we did with the CSP. Despite not getting approval from government, despite the Cannabis Act not allowing for what we were actually going to do in the giving out of these things, we went ahead and did it because that was the right thing to do. We are not supposed to stand by and watch people die when we know that we have the solution right in our hands, and not do it simply because either a corrupt or an ignorant government doesn't get it and won't allow you to do that. That's not how Vandu operates, and I stand with them and they stand with me as we now find ourselves going before the courts. So it's been almost 6 years, it will be this February, that we started doing the demonstrations, because it was important to, to demonstrate that what we were proposing was actually something that worked. And so we did that, and we've been very successful in that. However, over a year ago, the VPD decided that it was in the best interests of Canada to support the Cannabis Act and investigate this group of people that were openly selling and providing cannabis as a harm reduction option, to see if we were openly selling and providing cannabis as a harm reduction option. It wouldn't have taken much investigative strength to figure that out. I was very open about it. We've had signs up all the way. I've had conversations with every VPD officer that I could find. In fact, because when we presented to the VPD board, the Deputy Chief, Steve Rye, gave me his personal email. I also have a relationship with him where he's been informed all the way through with respect to what we're doing here with the CSP and the problems that we've had. But the VPD brass decided that that's what they should do. They passed that information on to the Federal Crown, and the Federal Crown decided that there was enough evidence there that there were these crimes being committed against the Cannabis Act, that they should actually take us to court and see if they can punish us and give me several months in jail and make us stop doing what we're doing. 419, and that's too bad, because there's a lot more to this story. What isn't there in all of that huge stack of money that was spent to put together the disclosure that we've been given, what there isn't anywhere in there is any mention of any victim of any sort in any way, shape, or form. And one of the things that it doesn't look like they did as far as their investigation goes was to consult with the people in the neighborhood that had had experience with us, to see whether or not those people supported us, or whether or not we had hurt them or helped them, or what they thought of us. None of that matters to these intellectually challenged cowboys. I don't mean to slander cowboys at all, but that's the way these people are acting. They're not very bright. They're not motivated for what they should be. They think it's okay to spend what looks like hundreds of thousands of Canadian taxpayer dollars on trying to investigate and successfully penalize me and my team of people that are here responding to a public health emergency at great sacrifice and risk to ourselves, and yet they think that we should be punished, and their only concern is whether or not we were actually providing cannabis for sale to people without a license from the government to do that. And I'll tell you right now, in the last few seconds, in fact it's already 4:20, that we are not the ones on trial for having done that. It's the federal government that's on trial for not having given us that license that should have been forthcoming, that would have protected us from this sort of action against us, and would have given us the ability to do this in a mainstream, dignified way, as we had demonstrated for years now that this is a successful harm reduction option. In fact, it is the best harm reduction option. So anyway, it's 4:20. Glenn Wells is here at All's Wells with Glenn Wells, and he's going to come.
I'll get there, yeah.
He's getting there. He's got dual duties going on.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have to tell him that. We could change your name and give you credit for being the producer under a different name.
Oh sure, like a synonym.
A synonym, like a porn name or something.
Yeah. 8 out of 10.
That's right. And anybody who hasn't been watching the show, they might not get that connection. So we could say my producer 8 out of 10.
We need the ashtray.
We do need the ashtray.
Yeah, and I could use a lighter.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
I got that.
Thank you. All right.
It is 4:20 after all. Light them if you got them.
Yep. Happy 420, everybody.
Happy 420.
Yeah. This joint is brought to you by Honey Oil, Weed, and Shatter.
Well, I'm smoking something else, right? I'm going to smoke what you
gave me. Are you going to smoke what I brought you?
Yeah.
It's Super Pink. It's an indica dominant hybrid. 20 to 23% THC.
Where'd you get that?
From a friend.
Okay.
Yep.
No promotion needed. Just
no. Local grower. Yeah, you buy local at Christmas, right?
Yeah, that's the thing to do. Support your local industries.
Yep.
Speaking of local industries,
yeah,
we've got some things coming up here. There's Can of Love.
Yeah.
You can imagine what would be in a can of love, probably a Valentine's gift. Because it's going to happen on Valentine's Day at the art gallery. I think I'm going to be there and support those people, and there's going to be a bunch of tents and stuff. And so today they came and gave us something, Glenn and I.
You mean the fairy weed?
Yeah,
the weed fairy.
The weed fairy shop.
Yeah, there you go. Oh no, this is the. Well, I'm sure they're both the same anyway.
No, you never know.
One says Neil, one says
it's
Blind.
got my
Yeah,
name on
there
it.
you go. Thank you, weed fairy.
Thank you, weed fairy shop.
Yeah, we were visited by the weed fairy this
So
afternoon.
I got a little over anxious. I opened one up, and I was going to start with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, but
And,
no,
then I realized, oh,
it's
no.
only a 12 day.
So I'm going to get to the 12th day, and then I got nothing before Christmas. And I thought, that's not how this is supposed to work.
It's supposed to be.
She didn't give this to me on the 6th
No.
because it's 5 days late.
Yeah, that would only bring you to 18.
Yeah, so we're going to start opening this on like the 12th.
The 12th.
Yeah.
The 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what we're going to do.
Thank you, Weed Fairy. You're
Thank you,
awesome.
Weed Fairy
Thank you.
Shop.
And thank you, Weed Fairy, for the $50 donation to Tubes and Dibs.
Dibs and dibs, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's very important.
We are now at.
Because otherwise you and I are going to be filing for bankruptcy shortly down the road there.
Oh, yes, I know.
We're doing it anyway. We're happy to do it.
Yeah, we're doing it anyways.
We
Well,
did hope that a whole bunch of people would help us, and there's still time to
We're
do
getting
that.
there. We still have 2 weeks to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did I say? We're at $405 now, I think.
Are we?
Yeah, or something like that. $355 or something.
Cool.
Yeah, so.
So help us out.
Yeah.
We've got a thing going on. This is the 3rd year in a row that we've been doing this. So we've been doing giveaways with the CSP since the beginning. But because of our good friend Sterling in Saskatchewan there, and his efforts to put together some socks and some doobies for people in the wintertime around Christmas, we thought that was a great idea. We reached out to him. He said he was fine with us taking that and running with it. So we've done that. This is our 3rd year now. We've got Tim Hortons on board. We've got Cabela's socks on board.
Yep.
And we got you on board if you want to help us out.
Cindy's on board at Coca Cafe, you said?
Right.
Yeah, so.
And there's other people that are fundraising for us a little bit right
Yeah.
now. So with any luck, we need about $2,000. That's what we're in.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Look at it. And
We
if
got
you're-
2%
If you're
of
in the
it.
Saskatoon area, reach out to Sterling too, because he's had to extend his date because it hasn't been very responsive.
Sterling got a date?
No, I meant his date where
Oh.
he's going to give out the socks because they haven't raised enough money yet. So if you're in the Saskatoon area, please help out Sterling also.
You know what?
Sterling are
2 weeks is a fair bit of time. We've got fairly generous people in our audience, and I believe that. I believe. I'm an optimist.
I believe. Yeah.
If we raise more money than what the tubes and dubes
Then we
cost,
can help out
we're going to
Sterling.
help out
I already
Sterling.
helped him out with $500.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
And then
Yes.
we're going to help you out helping him out. Or something.
Yeah, that was his first donation.
I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that's going to happen. You can make that happen. It's a great thing. Christmas time is at this time of year on purpose. For generations and generations, people have had to suffer through winters, and the winters are really harsh. Nowadays in the modern era,
here, yeah.
they're harsh because you have to pay a lot of money for heat. But in the past, hey Sadie Lou,
Yeah.
in the past there was no heat to pay money for. Keeping warm was a very hard thing to do. There was a lot of hardship that happened as a result of going through winters, and people that didn't have the necessary things to do that. We have down clothing and fancy blankets and heated cars and heated
Yep.
blankets and electric this and all the things that we have, they didn't have for a long,
And
long
the week
time.
they were saying that she was once down here, and having warm socks is very, very important to these
It
people.
is,
It is
you know.
because your feet are what you have to walk on to get the money, then the food that you have to walk and stand in line and stuff.
And
so
it should
warm
never
socks. I know.
It should never be that you're lacking in socks.
Yes.
In the winter time, at Christmas time, it should never be. So that's why we're gonna, start at that very low level and try to get satisfy
GoFundMe's
that.
in the title.
But
the
for
link.
my point is that this is a tough time of year, and
Oh, yeah.
historically for generations this has been a very tough time of year. You can imagine, since the 1700s here in Canada, the settlers, and obviously the Indigenous people of
Yeah.
Canada as well. And what it must have been like for them going through the winters. It would have been very, very harsh.
Oh.
And so we've come up with this, this way to help keep each other warm by bringing some warmth into this tough time of year by having the spirit of giving go along
John's
with
going to
all
bring
this.
Christmas dinner, right?
John's going to bring Christmas dinner.
So
We're going to get a couple of turkeys. We're going to cook way more than we need, and we're going to give away whatever my staff doesn't consume to the
Yeah.
people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we've done that every year as well. So, but But yeah, get involved in this. Don't just sulk about Christmas or have your own little parties at Christmas. I mean, spread the warmth,
Yep.
spread the love, spread the joy. That's what it's all really about. And we live in an echo chamber. That when you spread love and joy and warmth like that, that's what comes back to you.
Yeah.
And that's how you feel good about yourself and all of those things. It's a great way to embrace humanity and to help the human race. Is to have that spirit of giving
Yeah.
and loving it.
You're not only going to warm their feet, but you're going to warm their hearts too
That's
with
right.
your gift, right?
Exactly.
That's it, right?
Exactly.
And it's going to show them that people actually do care, right?
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
a big spiel for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I get so
Look,
sloppy. I don't know why I do that.
Yesterday I went and donated blood because
Did
you?
you
I
too much?
I have the second rarest blood in the world.
Really?
Yes, so only 9% of the population has my blood type,
I see.
right? So I
Is that like
donated.
O positive?
No, B positive.
B positive.
B
I think
positive.
everybody should be
Yeah,
positive.
well, that's what I was saying to the girl yesterday. Is that's why the world is so negative because only 9% of the population of the world is B positive,
positive.
right? So 91%.
It might only take, maybe it's 10%. We need 1 more
More,
percent of
yeah,
people
1%.
be positive, and then we can shift the whole world.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe that's critical mass for positivity. We can only hope.
But I also found out that my stem cells are pretty much very wanted, and that if they need your stem cells, they will fly you to anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So you could save that person's life.
Wow.
Yeah, being that I have the second rarest blood in the world, my stem cells would be like in demand. So,
Wow.
so that's what they mentioned to me yesterday. So
That's very cool.
Something I'll look into. Yeah. Be able to travel the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
give
just
some stem cells. Yeah.
go from place to place to place, dropping off a few stem cells here and there for save a life here, save a life
I
there.
don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
That sounds like a
But yeah,
cool
being that there's only 9% of
as long as
us,
they're flying you in first class.
well, I don't know. I guess I don't know what it is. They
I don't know.
might have stuck you in the luggage department.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool.
Oh, Sadie, you see yourself? This is looking at the see.
Yeah. Take a good look at herself there. And the magic of television, we have a bit of a delay on our screen here, so we can check out the stats.
Jonathan's asking about the old camper. Yeah, we have a new one. Neil, I guess Jonathan didn't come in at the beginning, but we have the new.
Yeah, there was a woman that is one of the vendors at the marketplace there, Nicole. She saw
Nikki?
what happened to Nikki. She saw what happened to the RV there with the firebombing, and she had come into possession through inheritance from her dad. This RV that looked very much like the one that we lost.
Yeah.
And so we negotiated a good deal on it. I think she gave us a really good deal on it.
Did.
And it runs and everything. And in fact, it's only got 49,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Although it's a little rough, it needs a tune-up for sure.
Well,
and
but
it's been around
be
for a
worth
while.
it because it has only that amount
I
of
think
miles
so.
on
Yeah,
it, right?
sure. Yeah,
It'd
100%.
be worth to get it fixed up and get the motor running good and stuff like that because then you can use it in the summertime too.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's awesome, and that's what we got going on. And thank you so much to Nikki for helping us out with that. There was an incident that happened here either yesterday or the day before that I'm pretty disturbed about. Landlord, a good friend of the show,
Yeah.
has taken a job in one of the markets there on Hastings Street,
Yeah.
providing cannabis as a harm reduction option for people.
Yeah.
And VPD took a little stroll through the marketplace,
And arrested
and
him.
they didn't arrest him, but they stole all of his stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is legalization, is it?
Wow. Eh?
You know,
They stole it all.
they stole it all.
Oh wow.
So that's just disgusting as can be.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't even.
He sent me a happy face a couple of days ago, so I thought things were
Well,
all
it
right.
would have been after that. I mean,
would've been
he's
after
all
that.
right with it, you know, but
Yeah.
but he's not.
Because he's seen other people go through the same thing, right?
Yeah, he
So,
told me. He
yeah.
said, "Now I know what it feels like
Yeah,
to
now he
get
knows what
raided
it
by the
feels-
cops." And
Yeah.
he said it doesn't make you feel very good. But he said he scolded that cop that did it.
Yeah.
He said, "Bad things are going to happen to you."
Yeah.
He said, I have the ability to curse people. I've cursed other officers in the past." And he actually told him of a couple of different instances where these cops ended up in serious life situations because, the
What?
landlord
That's
feels
a
he
threat.
cursed him. Well,
Well, you can't say that.
that's what he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Maybe he just thought he was a
Well,
he didn't take it
he
seriously.
said the cop looked like he was not very happy about being told that. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
Wow.
So,
Eh? Yeah.
Well, and you know, I mean, these guys, whether or not you tell them that or not, that's going to be in their karma.
Yeah.
You know, he's a piece of shit for doing that. What the hell? Who are they protecting? That's the big question here, right?
They're protecting
Because
the big companies.
because we are paying these police people to go around and intervene in certain things to protect people, because
Yeah.
that's what they're supposed to be all about. They're peace officers. They're supposed to bring peace, maybe where there isn't so much peace.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Who are they protecting by taking away the cannabis that the landlord had there, available for people? Who are they protecting? You know who they're protecting? They're protecting the other dealers in the neighborhood. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And they're all through the neighborhood. They're not hard to find. Those same cops could easily go for a little walk and seize a whole bunch of stuff if they wanted to, but they don't. They don't. They're just trying to clamp down on those people offering cannabis. There's a red tent that sits at the corner of Main and Hastings,
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Always operated by 4 or 5 people sitting there. They've got cigarettes. I'm told they have the full range of different drugs that people want.
Wow.
Openly, all right there, and
that's
they've been
because
there
of what's-
longer than us.
That's all, and that's also probably because of what's happening on January the 1st, right? We're decriminalizing 2 grams as of January 1st, 2024. So those people could be out there and only selling to 2 grams to everybody, and they won't.
Sure, but they're going to be themselves in possession of more than that.
Yeah.
But and I don't want these people arrested.
No.
I want them put out of business by a government that allows proper access to the things that people want for themselves. That doesn't involve you having to go to some people under a tent selling you stuff out from underneath their jacket.
Yeah.
That's not the way to be buying stuff like
But
that.
we're saying that the cops aren't busting them, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're gonna come after
We're not
an elder indigenous person who has some of nature's sacred herb available for people in a world where it's not easily available for people, and they're going to make sure he can't do that. Where the other people who have this other stuff that they're making easily available to people, that happens to be at the source of our public health pandemic even, and yet they're not being interdicted as anywhere near like the cannabis people are. Like, I'm in court coming up here, and 2 of my colleagues as well, for selling cannabis without a license. Why aren't there a whole bunch of people in court for selling fentanyl without a license,
Yeah.
or selling crack cocaine or crystal meth without a license?
Yeah.
Why aren't these people in court? They're not hard to find, but for some reason, we have a government whose value system isn't in line with the rest of the public's. Their value system is in protecting the interests of rich people who want to sell cannabis at artificially inflated prices that are beyond belief.
Yeah, way beyond belief.
Way beyond belief.
Yeah. And
Like, and even at that, there's expensive ways to grow cannabis, and we talked about this. I like to qualify this because I have
there's
grower
connoisseurs.
friends.
Yes.
And there's grower friends that pay huge hydro bills,
Yeah.
that pay a good dollar for professional people to come in and clip their product, and they spare no expense with the lights, with the dehumidifiers, with the fans, with all the different equipment. All that stuff. Not to mention they're risking their own livelihood most of the time. I mean, many of them, in fact, some of them might have licenses to do what they're doing, but they still could at any time, lose all of that because of this ridiculous Cannabis Act and the laws that we have here. But they're producing cannabis at considerably more expense than what farmers produce other things at. Considerably more. To the tune of probably a few $100s per pound more than what it costs to produce strawberries or blueberries or raspberries or the rest of that. Which farmers are producing, by the way, for pennies on the pound. It arrives in the stores, and after a few different bumps in prices as people handle it along the way, we as consumers pay upwards to about $7 a pound for the very best of that stuff, and not much more. So that when growers and farmers want to now move indoors and use artificial sunlight that costs a lot, and buy a bunch of equipment and pay trimmers and all the rest of it, it adds a few $100s to the cost of producing that per pound. A few $100s. There's math on it. There are graphs and scales, and this has all been broken down by economists at this point that show what it costs to produce cannabis under those conditions. And it's not more than $250 per pound.
Wow. Wow.
That's still pretty high. That probably in the retail marketplace should fetch probably about $1 a gram.
Yep.
You know, $450 for a pound of something that the farmer spent $250 to produce. And that's some of the best stuff too, by the way. Mm-hmm. But the Canadian government, they think that they should be able to maintain a price, let's say $10 a gram. They have some stuff that's less than that. I hear you can buy $100 ounces. Well, $100 ounces, how much is that per gram? That's $1,600 for a pound. So that's about $4 a gram.
Yep.
That's their cheap stuff. And they go way up from there. So I've seen 18, I've been told of $22 a gram.
Wow. Really?
Wow. At government stores.
Wow.
And as they continue to add, I don't know. I've never paid it. Like I say, I saw the one packaging that was $18 a gram. That was for some real high-end stuff from a dispensary up in Whistler. I've been told of $22 a gram. And I suspect that as they include more craft growers, these ultra mini grows, that they're going to have to raise the price even more for that. So we're up at around $25,000 or $25 a gram for cannabis. At $25 a gram, that's $10,000 a pound.
Wow.
You can't tell me that even these micro growers, even with all of the very most expensive equipment, are coming anywhere close to $10,000 per pound that they're producing. Or and maybe it gets marked up 100%. So now we're talking $5,000 a pound. Does it cost $5,000 a pound to produce this stuff? I say not a chance.
Never.
Not even close.
Nope.
10 times less than that.
Yep.
So the government is maintaining these artificial prices that are just so far out of whack. And when they're that far, what they're far away from is the ability of people who don't have a lot of money who really need it to get it. Mm-hmm. And that's the big tragedy here. That's where we've come full circle now. There's hundreds of thousands of Canadians that have doctors supporting their usage of cannabis for medical purposes.
My doctor's office, the whole team is on board.
We've got numerous studies, so many different studies that have come out over the last decade showing the medical efficacy of cannabis for a variety of different things, including, and not least of which, is assistance in withdrawal to people that are addicted to opioids.
Yep.
Powerful medicine for, much needed in our society. There's no justification for the prohibition. In all of that disclosure that they gave us, there's nothing in there about a victim.
No.
What were we reading, you and I, just before the show? There's this thing that's come out that's showing that for the amount of cannabis that's being sold, there's sort of a relative amount of alcohol that's not being sold now.
That's good.
But the researcher from Brook University, that was the one quoted in the article, said that they weren't sure yet about how the offsetting of harms caused by alcohol would be balanced by the harms caused by the use of cannabis. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
because, there just isn't a lot of stuff going on with the harms of cannabis. There's a lot of fear-mongering to do with what about the children? It probably hurts the developing brain. Mm-hmm. But I haven't heard anything else about anything else.
No.
I don't see any warnings on the cannabis that people are buying legally from cannabis stores, from the government, that say excessive use can hurt your liver, kidneys, damage brain function. I haven't seen anything like that, or cause cancer, or anything like that, because none of that is true.
Yeah.
None of that is true. There's just no harms associated with cannabis of any significance that would ever justify prohibiting it or even over restricting it, let alone using the criminal law on it. So we've kind of come full circle at this point. It's available for sale in stores without the same warnings as the alcohol and the commercial tobacco and the pharmaceutical drugs that are available for sale to us and have been for all the time that cannabis was prohibited. This is not only a much safer commodity, it is a safe commodity that is beneficial for many of the things that these other non-safe commodities are responsible for harming people with.
Yeah.
So we've come full circle. It is time that we be apologized to by these people who have been doing this. And it is time that they back the fuck off.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. Leave the marketplace to regulate itself like it did for
Before,
20 some years before they decided to legalize and regulate. It is way overdue. This needs to happen. And so we'll see what we can do about that. We're going to be in court.
Yep. Next a week.
In 1 week from
1
today.
week. So
it's going to be at 2 o'clock. It's not going to be in the same courtroom. Let me see if I can just check on that and see if I've got an update from my lawyer.
So the
as to
show may
when
be
it
a
would
little late
I don't
that
think I
day.
do here.
Right.
The show might be a little late.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll
see what
probably
we
come
do,
out and
right?
let you guys know what's going on. That's for sure. I can do that.
I didn't get it. I got a
Right.
thumbs up to, I'd like to be able to announce on the show which courtroom we're going to be in. But I didn't get the actual which courtroom. So
Wow.
if you're in Vancouver,
I don't remember. I thought you said it's going to be in the same
I
courtroom.
did, but I asked him that and he said no to that.
It's a no.
So
Okay. All right.
we want people there. We need people there. If you've been considering coming out to one of these dates, this is now our 8th time.
Do you have your little piece of paper?
Didn't get it.
You didn't get that time.
Walked out without
That's
it.
strange because he usually walks up and gives it to you, right?
Yeah, didn't happen. Yeah,
One
so
of George or Andrew got one because I'll tell you what. courtroom.
Andrew wasn't there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure George didn't take his. Maybe
Okay. Yeah.
we'll go ask him.
Yeah.
I don't have that information for you. What I can say is that we would love to have you there. That if you're in the Vancouver area, if you can share this with people that are. Of the 8 appearances, this is now number 9 coming up here. I believe we have 7. This is 8.
I don't know.
I lost track.
I've been keeping track. I'm just like
You'd have to
yeah.
ask those people that got a paycheck for every one of those times. They'll be able to tell you a lot easier than me.
Well, yeah.
But it's 8 or 9 now that we're going back there. This is the one where we actually are going to have our lawyer describe what we're doing to a judge, and the Crown try to explain why they think this is in the public's interest to do what they're doing. I think this is it should be powerful to watch. This is I call
Are
it.
you going to get an opportunity to talk? Because
He told me I didn't even need to be there.
So I don't think you're going to be able to.
Yeah, he told me I didn't even need to
You'll
be
only
there.
be able to get to talk if it goes to trial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or if I fire my lawyer.
Or if you fire, no, you don't want to fire a lawyer.
Well,
Come on.
it might be a strategic thing to do. I don't know. I'm going to talk to Jack about it.
Really?
I think I'm capable of talking for myself. I wouldn't fire him, of
Yeah,
course.
no, yeah.
But he may just be my counsel. He may counsel and advise me as I
Well,
present
that's what he's doing
the
right
story.
now.
It is. Is he
Right.
going to do as good a job as me? Well, the answer to that would be yes and no.
Well,
In some ways he
you
will,
both- you
because
both
he's
are very-
legal,
yes,
he's legal
exactly.
oriented,
You both have,
and he'll have his set of skills about how to properly present things and,
Exactly.
and know more about
and
what
he
is
knows
important.
who you are.
He does,
So
and I have
now
faith
it
in him.
comes to trust in our faith, right?
I have faith in
And
him,
if it
Jack.
doesn't work, you're going to be able to talk the next time around anyway. So don't fire him. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'm not all that invested
Yeah,
either way.
yeah.
I'm appalled that this is happening. That
Yeah.
taxpayers are on the hook for this. That the government would be so blind and ignorant and corrupt that they would think this is a good thing to do. They were not able to see through whatever screen they're looking through to recognize that we're just good people trying to do good things, and that we should be
Same.
probably rewarded and carried around on people's shoulders for a while, especially if we could really do what we want to do, which is expand our program to get low barrier access stores available in those communities, easy access
Yep.
where it's needed, and then see what happens. There's people right across Canada, I'm told about it all the time, they're struggling. They need something like this. They've got areas that are full of people that could really use some high-dose edibles, but there's just no access. Let's see what happens if there was access, in all of these places. Let's see if we can't kick the shit out of this epidemic of overdose deaths here.
And
But,
then help people recover, because I mean, going through withdrawals, they're all scared of the withdrawals, the pains and stuff like that. With the edibles, they're not getting that, right?
Yeah.
Their bodies are able to get through the days without a lot of the symptoms of withdrawals. And
If we weren't having any
That's
good
why they're
results,
scared.
like Glenn's talking about, we wouldn't still be here.
exactly,
It's been almost 6 years.
Yeah.
This is not an easy neighborhood to be in.
people
There's-
get mad when you're not
there's,
there.
there's threats to us all the time. We have to be always vigilant because this neighborhood is full of crazy people acting out. There's people that are attacked here regularly, and we have competitors. We have people that were perhaps on their turf, or they think they might be. I've been here longer than anybody else, by the way, as far as I see
Yeah.
it. Over 20 years of working with Vandu. We had the Herb School before, 19 years ago, so that. I feel that I've got street cred and that we're good here, but not everybody sees it that way. We don't know the risks to us. We see horrors here
Yeah.
every day. We see things that horrify us. People that could easily be our family members that are struggling so badly with their mental health issues, with the way society is treating them, with the way things are for them, that it makes it very, very difficult to be here. Nobody's getting rich here. I make sure everybody does okay because I believe in that, and I structured things that way. But I also structured things in a way that makes sure that nobody's getting taken advantage of, that the street is getting what they can get at prices that we can get it to them for as best we can. So there is no incentive here for us to keep on going. We've been firebombed, we've been threatened, we've been robbed, we've been broken into, we've had all these issues. We've been rejected by a government of public servants that we thought were going to help us at some point. From the municipal government that passed a motion to support us unanimously and has done nothing since to actually do that, other than some letters that they wrote perhaps to Ottawa, and actually gave us a copy of one from a couple of the different councillors. But other than that, they've not exercised the power that they have to put us into a storefront with a license and allow us to operate while we negotiate with Health Canada without the fear and the risk of police coming and arresting us. So right from the municipal government all the way to our Prime Minister and the federal government and Health Canada, we have been rejected. We have been, just their backs have been turned on us. It has been over 6 years, which means that we are suffering from the heat of the summer in an RV that has no electricity to the harshness of winter, which we're going through again here. It's not easy. We have propane heaters, makes it better, but not the way it would be in a storefront. Mostly that we recognize that there's so much more that we could be doing that we're not able to do. We are having to be bystanders watching as many people can't get the help that we could otherwise be able to give them if we were supported by government and we had what we needed to do that. So this is not easy for us to be here, and I speak on behalf of my whole team, the other people that are involved in helping us. This is not easy. This is something that we believe in because the exact reason that you just said before that. We see the rewards. We see these people that came to us drug sick and hopeless, and now they've got lives where they got to jump in their step and they're happy.
They've got weight on them and they're happy and they're,
So, and they thank us all day long, and people tell us all day long how happy they are that we're here for them and thanking us and telling us, please don't go away.
Yeah, what keeps them on the opioids is not wanting to go through withdrawals.
That's
right?
it.
And now you've got a solution, right? And they're happy that you've got that solution. When they busted you, there were so many.
And we can't properly offer the solution either, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not doing the job that we should be doing here. I give people 420 milligrams every 4 days.
Yep.
That's not enough.
Nope.
That's not enough. It's a good start. It's a good boost. With a little bit of extra beyond that, most people can actually get through that withdrawal. I don't know that 100 milligrams is enough. Maybe if they save it up for 2 or 3 or 4 times, and now they've got a couple thousand milligrams. Now they can approach that vortex of withdrawal, that 4 or 5 days of hell, the 7 levels of hell, all the rest of the way that they describe it here. Then they can get through that. What I wanted to do, what I've always wanted to do, is be able to give people everything that they need to be able to get what they need to get off these things. That's what I want. That's what the program was designed to do. I showed up with boxes of stuff to give away at Vandu early on, and had huge lineups of people that we had to distribute it to. So we portioned it out. I didn't think it was going to be that way. I thought I was going to have boxes of stuff, handfuls of people, and everybody was going to get what they needed,
Yeah.
and we were going to be able to guide this handful of people through withdrawal. But instead, there was long lineups,
300.
hundreds of people
Wow.
right away.
Mm.
Not wanting to turn anyone away, but you have to when the boxes are empty. So we did the best job we could to decide how many people we were going to have for that day and how much we had to give out, and we would portion it into bags and
Yeah.
give that much out.
And you had the holy rollers.
And we wouldn't give them much counseling. We wanted to, but how do you give hundreds of people the counseling that they need?
You can't.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So we tried to make it clear with the signage that we had about what the goal of the program was. And we would give a few moments of our time to everybody as best we could to tell them to start low and go slow. We could do so much more.
Yep.
So much more. And that's what's the most frustrating about all of this. Is we had these grand visions and dreams. I did, and I shared them with other people who shared them with me. We have formed the Serious Hope Society.
Mm-hmm.
We had some great meetings, a couple of really great meetings, where we talked about the many, many things that we could do as a society with the aim to help people as best we could down here through cannabinoid therapeutics and other means, not just through cannabinoids.
Speaking of Van Dude, were you able to find out if Evie's going to be talking to them?
I-
or they're
I-
going to be talking to him?
I didn't go there and pursue that.
No,
but
but you can give him a call.
I will.
Yeah,
You know, I'll see
well,
if there's anything
It's
coming up.
Tuesday. It may have already done it, right?
He may have already done it.
Yeah. I know you said this week. I
You
said
know,
a news item, right?
Yeah.
So,
I want a real meeting with these people.
and
I want Shirley Malcolmson to give me a call and have a meeting with me. Why won't you, Shirley? I don't understand. I now I'm bugging her, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Facebook friend.
Yeah.
She posts on there,
Yeah.
and I post, please meet with me
Yeah.
and talk about the CSP.
Yeah.
Why won't you meet with me and talk about the CSP?
On her page?
On the threads that
Yeah.
are there where she posts that
Oh,
she's
in
doing
the
certain
comments.
things.
Yeah.
I'm being polite and nice about it. I've sent her personal emails. I've phoned the office numerous times since she
Wow.
was given that position. She's the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions
Where do we find
in
her?
British
Why don't we-
Columbia. Yeah, well, I'm waiting for her to post something local. She's in Nanaimo, I think, yesterday with something there going on,
Okay.
helping young people with mental health issues.
Yeah, we could do it that way.
But
And
I
like,
don't want to have to ambush her. That's the thing. That's what I'm
Sometimes
saying. You know,
that's
that's what we always used to have to do. I've put in enough time now, and we've demonstrated successfully enough now that I deserve a meeting with these people. I deserve to be talked to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not happy.
No.
You know,
No.
I'm a frontline worker here right through the pandemic, where we were deemed an essential service, and darn it, we know we are.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! In fact, when you see in the winter time, like we got going right now, it's bitterly cold out there. The people that are here coming to this RV, that are standing out early in the morning to get there as soon as we open,
Yeah.
this is an essential service for
Yeah.
people.
Well, there's a lot there. I was amazed at how many people were just lined up waiting for the tent.
Yeah.
Where's the RV? With what happened, and the tent was there. Some people were, oh no, it's not here. And, right? It's like, oh no, we got the tent.
So I hope
going.
Jack can do a good job for us of explaining to the judge that we did what should have been licensed a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did what we did. We continued to do what we did after licenses were promised, once licenses were needed, and then licenses were applied for.
Yeah.
So I hope he makes that point really clear, that we've had licenses pending by both municipal and federal governments that have told us that they will license us,
And then they're working
and
on
then
it.
they haven't,
And then they're working on
and
it.
that they're working hard every day on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the most important thing is that we can't quit doing what we're doing in the meantime. We couldn't just stop and say, oh, well, we need licenses and we don't have them yet. Oh, well, we can't do what we're
No,
doing
we
now.
can't save people's lives.
Sorry.
For all these years.
I know that for years we've been helping you, and then without us, you're probably going to go back and buy some of that other stuff that could kill you, but your federal government cares about you, and what we're doing must not be safe.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's why we had to demonstrate it. That's what we've been demonstrating. Not just that it works, but that it's safe. That there's nobody that's been harmed.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of people that I'm sure would tell you that at the first go they ate too much.
Yes.
And they didn't like it.
Yeah.
and they didn't do it again, because that's what you do. You self-regulate when you experience something like that. Unfortunately, some people's version of self-regulating is to never do that again. And that's our big problem here, is we got to make sure that people don't eat so much to begin with that they don't want to do it again, because that's not a nice experience.
No.
But, other than that,
Because you don't know what to expect.
there's no harm going on here.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of good. There's no harm.
It's the head and the body. The body's not going to cooperate. You're like, why won't it work? And you begin to panic. Yeah. So what did we say? Go low.
Start low.
Go
Start
slow.
low. Go slow.
Yeah.
My head felt so thick when I ate too much that one time in
Did
Toronto.
you? I've never eaten too much. I've been lucky, so.
Part of it was drinking. Part of it was drinking.
Drinking,
But not drinking alcohol.
I've learned.
But not drinking alcohol.
Oh, okay.
It was a cannabis-infused milkshake at
So you had
the Kindred Cafe in Toronto.
Oh, okay, all right.
So they preyed on my sweet tooth.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this, but they got Sylvester Stallone in a new show called Tulsa King.
Oh yeah.
And he's a mafia guy trying in Tulsa to take over the weed shop business and getting money from it and stuff like that. So he was making a deal with Jimmy the grower, and he's eating this apricot sauce. He's going, "Oh, this is really good," in the Sylvester Stallone thing. So after they make the deal, he says, "I gotta let you know that sauce is medicated." Right? And it was funny.
Did it get him a better deal?
Oh, well, no, he already had a good deal before, right? Because Sylvester Stallone's been doing the tough guy. You have to answer yes or no by the time I finish swallowing this cracker, right? So do the math, he said, because he offered him a deal, and you better have an answer by the time I follow this cracker, right? So if you get a chance to check it out, it's pretty good. It's all low weed, so
weed.
Yeah, he's smoking in the car, and oh yeah, it's funny, yeah, and it's good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He sleeps with some girl just after he gets into Tulsa, and she turns out to be a cop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, she thought he was a lot younger, and she's in her 40s, and she says, "How old are you?" And she's like, he goes 75, and she wants to get out of the hotel room real quick. and then they're all sitting around the table, and his picture comes up that he's come into the area and that he's there, right? And she's like, "Oh, God." Yeah, so check out Tulsa King if you can.
Tulsa King. I guess we're promoting movies now.
Well, I don't know. We're talking about
Cisco and
weed,
Ebert.
yeah,
Cisco and Ebert here.
Yeah, really.
Reincarnated. A one thumbs up because the other half didn't even see the movie yet. So maybe I'll have to check that out. It's quite the story, this whole thing that's been going on for all this time. It really needs to be told. And the government needs to be exposed, and the corporations need to be exposed for all of this.
Yep.
That's a big story. I'm hoping that comes out pretty soon. I don't know.
Wow.
Anyway,
I'm
so
hearing
what else we
rumblings
got?
that they're trying to shut down the whole medical marijuana thing. Health Canada's trying to get that done and get rid of that.
That's terrible. I hope you guys filled out that survey.
Yeah.
I see that Oregon has had a number of different recalls due to
I hear
pesticides.
Connecticut's just making it legal now.
Are they?
Connecticut, yeah.
Legal in the same framework as all these other jurisdictions,
Like
where
California and
it's
all
all
that
about
stuff.
licensing and fees
I don't
and
know,
high
I just-
prices
yeah.
and eliminating the poor people and stuff. We need to stop this corporatization of weed. It's
Free the weed.
free the weed, man.
Free the
weed.
people, free the weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People gonna grow. People
Yeah.
should be able to grow. Let my people grow.
That's it.
Let our people grow.
Yep.
There was that moment in time back where I had put the Freedom Tour on hold for a few years. My dad wasn't well. I did 3 years in a row of spending 5.5 months on Canadian highways, inline skating a good portion of the distance between here and Ottawa. I ended up doing over 3,000 miles on Canadian highways.
Wow.
And so then I started the 4th year. I inline skated the Malahat Mountain Range, one of my favorite things to do for the 4th year in a row. But by the time I got back into Vancouver, it was clear to me that there was a lot of things not coming together like it always had in the years before. And my dad was the main thing for me, where he was looking like he was on his last legs. And I didn't want to be halfway across Canada and have my dad die on me, And so I put the tour on hold there, and it ended up being for 2.5 years that my dad lived until he passed on. I was so glad to have that time with him. It was incredible. And it was shortly after he had passed away that we were just getting all these things in order, and I was considering what I was going to do, now in my life. And I got a call from one of my supporters back east, and he was asking me if I was going to come back and do any more Freedom Tour educational stuff in the future. And I had already been thinking about it myself anyway, because the government had come up with they were going to eliminate the people growing for themselves, and there was mandatory minimums going to be involved in prison sentences for people that had, over a certain amount of plants.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I get this phone call, and on the TV downstairs at my dad's place there, he had the big TV room, and on the TV, they were playing an old movie of Charlton Heston being Moses.
Oh.
And he's standing up there on the big rock, and he's got the staff. And he's saying to the Egyptians, "Let my people go."
Yeah.
And it all just kind of hit me at that moment that is what I was going to be doing now that Dad had passed away. I was going to go back and do another Freedom Tour, and that the theme of the Freedom Tour was going to be "Let our people grow."
Nice.
So that was a moment in time.
We're being told that we're amazing online.
In what way?
I don't know. It's I have to read what Jonathan was saying.
How much money do they want?
They've met us. He's met us both. And how much money do they want?
I'm always looking for motives.
Jonathan Watson. I've had the pleasure to meet Glenn, and he's an amazing person. So is Neil. Well,
nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think everybody's an amazing person.
You're all amazing. Right?
Yeah.
God.
I wish you all, the best of luck in being your true amazing selves. And I think for me personally, I can say I was lucky. I think we're all lucky. If we're sitting here right now smoking weed, talking about things, dressed in warm clothes in the wintertime inside a building that's heated.
We're in paradise.
We're very lucky.
Right? Compared to somewhere else where it's illegal, they don't have the shit that we have, they don't drive cars, they don't have a laptop, a camera, or a show, right? Yeah.
Well, and I think to all the people throughout history, for the millennia before us, and how life was a struggle for everybody. And like I say, if you're inside a building, you got food in your belly, and you're dressed warm in the wintertime, and you're smoking weed, all of these things.
Yeah.
We are really, really so blessed to be here. I had another point I was about to make, and I forgot.
You were going. That's what Canada
No, the point is that we are inside a building, dressed warm in the wintertime, smoking weed with all the rest of it. And right outside that door, within about a half-mile radius all around us, there's literally thousands of people that have none of it. They don't have warm clothes. They're not in a warm space. Their bellies are not full, and they're so broken.
Living in tents.
In what they're able to think about. They've been traumatized. They're being traumatized at this moment. It's been a series of traumas for a long time in their lives as they get bashed around by the meaner elements of society based on whatever it is that their liability is. And they get bashed around by governments who really don't care about them, and they find that out. Once, for the main people, the mainstream people in Canada who get to go to work every day, and they don't get some serious problem going on where they have to deal with Health Canada or a government ministry or the hospitals or the medical profession. So many of our systems that are broken in this country that you don't get to experience the troubles that those things are in until you have something bad happen to you. And there's a lot of people that pretty much go through their lives without recognizing any of that. But for those people on the fringe, man, for those people that are minorities, for those people that have bad things happen to them and they need government assistance, it is not a panacea.
No.
It is stigmatization, and it is what's the word I'm looking for? Disgraceful, but I mean when people are discriminated against.
Discrimination.
It's discrimination.
Yeah.
You're discriminated against for being poor. You're discriminated against for being disabled. You're discriminated against for being colors and attitudes that other people don't like, and all of these different things. You're stigmatized for what you try to do about that. If you are in pain, if you're traumatized, and you're seeking help, and you end up being involved with substances that make you a druggie or a drug addict, now you're stigmatized like crazy. You try to go to the hospitals when you've got a legitimate medical concern and you've been labeled a drug addict, and see what kind of help you get there.
They give you aspirin.
Yeah, and they kick your butt right the heck out of there fast.
Right,
And
and they're the ones who made you that because you got
in many
hurt.
cases.
They gave you the first pills, right?
Yeah, they don't see any of
the
that.
government paid for it, right? So and now they're here, right?
No, they don't see any of that.
No.
It's institutionalized. It permeates throughout our society. This is just the way that it is.
Yeah.
So
That sucks.
I've been very lucky, and I am very aware of numerous points in my life where it could have gone the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I was involved in bad things right from the time when I was, at 10 years old I started smoking cigarettes not too far from here, Nanaimo and 28th, and I used to come down here on my bicycle sometimes, just a little kid,
Yeah.
and peek into the peep shows, and I
Oh,
go to the
wow.
bookstores. I had my bike stolen from in front of a bookstore right over here on Hastings, just one block. It was right there. And I'd be in there trying to look at magazines and things like I probably shouldn't have been. But
No.
what can
Well,
I say?
magazines,
I have no idea where I had these drives from. It's human nature. It's what got us here, is sex and love and lust and all of those things.
Yep.
And I certainly had that going on. And that's what I mean. I could have taken numerous different bad turns in my life. That day that I had my bike stolen here, I was only like 11 years old. And now I'm really distraught. My bike is gone. I'm where I shouldn't be. And here this guy, he's going to help me. He's going to befriend me. And I forget what he asked me, but he wanted me to go up to his room and look at magazines or something. And I quickly got out of there, you know. Another time at on 28th, heading up to Nanaimo from a Stockaders meeting at the local People's Fellowship Church down at the end there that my grandparents helped to build and were members of for such a long time. I was a little boy, 12, 11 years old, Stockaders, and walking back to my house that was on Nanaimo Street at the top of the hill, and I'm approached by a person who says that they forgot their glasses and they can't see, and they need to go to the grocery store. And I tell them that the grocery store is just at the top of the street at Nanaimo, and then down to the left where the foundry is. Now it's the Nanaimo Street SkyTrain station.
Yeah.
But we get up there, and I'm pointing at where it is. I can see it. He says, I really can't see where that is. Would you mind walking me down there? And I said, well, just a minute. I gotta let my mom know, because my house was right there.
Yeah.
So I ran in and I said, Mom, I'm going to help this guy find the store.
Yeah.
And then now we're getting closer to the store, and he's got his hands in his jacket pocket, and he's asking me if me and my friends ever play doctor.
Oh.
And I can see a knife blade flash in his coat pocket.
Wow.
And I just said, hey, I think that's my mom calling.
Gotta go.
There's the store, mister.
Yeah.
And I ran out of there. And Dad and I, we scoured the neighborhood. We looked in parked cars and behind bushes and up and down streets, to see if we could find this guy. My dad was pretty serious about it.
Pretty pissed as a
So,
dad, too, yeah.
But way worse than that was that, I started smoking at 10 years of age. And my right-wing Protestant parents, they knew, but I would deny it and lie to them and tell them I was just sitting at the bus stop and a guy was smoking next to me. And that was my story every time. And so they decided they had to get me out of Vancouver, get this kid out of East Vancouver, because there's bad influences all over the place here, and I was smoking cigarettes and getting in trouble. And so they moved me out to Surrey, right next to Grandpa and Grandma's house in Birdland. And
I used to live there at Holly Park.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got in lots of trouble in Holly Park. I got drunk and climbed the barbed wire fence there and cut my hands all up and tried to go swimming there. And
when Kevin was like 2 or 3 years old, we lived in the townhouses there. At Holly
is that
Park.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
So you're in my neighborhood.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Before you were there, but yeah, I was there, and boy, you know, I mean, they stepped it up a notch for me getting into trouble coming out here, or out to Surrey rather.
That's
You
more,
know,
yeah.
I was running with gangs. We were beating
Yeah.
people up. We were driving in cars to Langley to have gang fights. There was
Wow,
break-ins
eh?
going on. I was breaking into cars to steal liquor. I was getting drunk all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, you know,
Wow.
and then came hockey.
Yeah.
Thank God
It
for
saved
hockey.
you.
You know, it saved me. My cousin made the National Hockey League. He contacted me. He sent me equipment through his brother Wayne in Alberta. There, I paid my own way. I was fortunate that I was a bit of an entrepreneur at a young age. I was selling Christmas cards door to door. I worked at a gas station. I had my own money because my dad would not pay for hockey gear and pay for me to play hockey.
Oh wow.
But I had the gear. I made the money to pay for the admission, and I got playing hockey. And you know, my cousin changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's you're here
Yeah,
today.
he
You're-
totally,
because of the-
he
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I don't know that he knows. I wrote him a long letter one time, and I didn't even send it to him. I did get to talk to him a few times when he was here, and I brought Dan to see him when he was part of the Chicago alumni.
Yeah.
And I did get to tell him.
You should send a letter.
Well, he died.
Oh, you died. Oh, okay.
He
Oh,
died
sorry.
back in
All right.
2005.
Well, then he should
in
know.
a car accident.
Yeah.
He was.
Oh, you told me that story.
Yeah,
yes.
he was with,
with another person, right? Yes. Yeah.
I don't remember his name now. It's
No.
terrible.
But we looked it up one day.
We did, yeah.
Yes, we did. Yes,
But yeah,
I
Keith
remember
changed
you
my
told me.
life. He got me on a different track. He got me with a different group of people, doing different things. You know, getting up early in the morning and going to hockey practice and
Yep.
and going from town to town playing. I was playing for the rep teams, and
It changes it.
it really helped me. So and so many other things, right? Like there was several different things along the way. When my marriage broke up, I was like, man, I can sure see why people crawl into a bottle.
Mhm.
You know, when their marriage breaks up, it was such
Yeah.
a horrible thing. I'm a sensitive guy. I never thought my marriage would end. I mean, it should have ended. It needed to end. My wife needed to be in a space on her own where she could work out her stuff, and,
Yeah.
and it just is what it is, and I accept that. But you know, to have my kids taken from me and all the things that happen when you go through a divorce, that was really hard, and all these other things. And I meet these people down here, and they went through similar things,
Yeah.
but they didn't come out of it the way I did.
No.
They didn't have weed, for example, when
No.
my marriage broke up to keep me out of that bottle. You
Yeah.
know. They didn't have a cousin that made the National Hockey League that kept them from running
Yeah.
with the gangs that they were running with.
That's
They-
the opposite,
you know,
right?
yeah, it's like there's so many
You
turns along the way where I could have been, you know,
Yeah.
so man, I'm so blessed, and that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. Is, you know, these people, they need somebody who managed to have something they didn't have at that moment when they went that way, and I was able to go that way to come and give back something, and that's so true for a lot of the people that
There
are
are
helping
other
me
people
here.
who have had the opportunity where a coach or somebody has changed their life by going to do a sport, right? But you just don't know those people personally, right?
Yeah.
But there are similar
Tons of them.
stories.
People
Yeah.
want to give back when
Yeah.
like when they're
Boxing is is one of the biggest one where they take a lot of people from the
and
street.
so that's true for so many people that are associated with me here.
Yeah.
Like we're a large group of people. I have a team of 10 people now that you know, take shifts in the RV.
Yeah.
There's about 10 other people that have come and gone over the last number of years that we've been doing this. In the last 2.5 years since we went to having the store.
I'm a dad. I always got to
Oh,
clean it
man.
somewhere. Everybody
It's really close to my heart. This stuff is really close to my heart. And I'm sorry that I'm not as composed as maybe I should be sometimes. But, you know, it's really hard down here because I see myself. I see people that I knew along the way. I see how it could have been different for these people. We talked last week on the show about some people that I've met down here that are here because of weed. That they got a minor weed bust that turned into a major event in their life.
Yeah.
That, you know, 6 months in jail and now they don't have housing.
Wow.
The family turns their back on them.
Wow.
They're labeled as a
because of
criminal.
weed.
They can't get a job. You know, I mean, so many different things down here where I see that, you know, I need to be here helping here because for me, I had a better life. You know, and I want to say that this team of people that work with me, not just the 20 people that I just mentioned that have worked and do work here now, but the dozens of people that have been providing us with donations for the CSP since the beginning.
The bakers.
Those bakers and
Yeah.
you know, so many people and other people in other roles as well. The lawyers, I guess, that you know, and many of these people have a personal connection that wants them to help us do what we're doing here. This is a team effort of a bunch of people that are motivated to help because they know how lucky they are,
Yeah.
and they've either lost loved ones or see that this could have been them,
Yeah.
and all of these
And they
other
want to
things.
share their experience so that hopefully that person might be able to get on the same path as they did, right? You just
Exactly.
want to pay it forward, right? Because, hey, this happened to me, it saved me. You know,
So if Health Canada is going to tell me that we need to stop doing what we're doing the way that we're doing it, that we need to get our supplies from licensed producers in packaging and with taxes on it and all very sterile and dehumanized by the time it gets to the end consumer here, then they should really rethink that, because those people that are helping me need to have a way to give back. They are feeling blessed because they have a vehicle that will allow them to take part in something that contributes to this social problem that we have here. So they need to license our suppliers. They need to allow for individual bakers to be able to contribute in
Yeah.
some reasonable way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for food safe. I'm all for proper packaging.
Yeah.
But I'm not for taking the human element out of this. I'm not for eliminating that small operation of a person or a family
In their home, just
from their home
Yeah.
that wants to be able to give back and help here. We need to be able to facilitate those people doing something to help here.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope that that's all taken into account by the powers that be when they do decide to properly scrutinize us and give us a license, that we'll be able to communicate these things to them, that they'll be receptive to that, you know.
just let us continue to do it the way we've been doing it. We don't really
Yeah.
need their weed. We don't.
If they were gonna decide that this is something that works
Yeah.
and should be encouraged, then I'm the one, and we are the ones
How
that
is-
they should be consulting with as to how to do this.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be really consulting much with Health Canada about how they think that we should do
The other
this.
way, yeah.
It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
They should come and sit down and say, we can see that you're having great success here.
Yeah.
How can we help you do that even better?
Yeah, or let's get
You know.
into all the Canadians on board with this, or that are suffering in the same way.
We
right?
need to allow this everywhere where it's in need.
That's what they
You know.
said. Well, we can't. We're having a problem doing that because
Yeah.
other people want to do what you want.
That's what they said. They
I
said
know,
it's
I know.
complicated.
That was a quote. That was a quote.
Other people,
right?
yeah, that's a quote.
That's a quote.
Mr. Benoit Seguin.
Yeah,
he said right out loud. He said, "We will try to have your licenses figured out by early January." He
Yeah.
said. He said he apologized for already being, so long. It had been 3 months by that time since we had applied, and people's lives were at stake after all. So he apologized for taking so long. Said that it would probably be early January.
Yeah.
But it was complicated because if we did it, other people would
They
want to
wanna
do
do
the
it
same
too,
thing.
yeah.
And how would they say no to those people?
Oh, that guy should be a politician. He really put us off, eh? Yeah.
I don't know what good Health Canada is. I don't know what it is that they're good at, but they're pretty good at finding people that can toe the line and hold the bar and not allow for things different than what they deem to be the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Because he's done a pretty good job over these years of fending off myself and John Conroy and maintaining his stance, so far at least, that they can't be having cannabis dispensed to people who don't have a doctor supporting their choice, and that any cannabis that is dispensed has to be done legally, and that would mean no high-dose edibles, and that all the cannabis would have to come from licensed producers, and likely subject to all of the different requirements that keep the prices up and up and up on that product. So, and my stance is I won't allow, I won't concede to something that's going to raise our prices or lower our quality or our ability to help people. And so I can't turn my back on what would be in the 95% range of people that we're already helping right now and have been for quite a while here. I can't turn my back on those people because they can't or won't get a doctor on board with what their choice is with high dose edibles. And I won't restrict it to low dose edibles.
You can't even get high dose edibles from the government.
Well, that's what I mean. They don't have that available.
Yeah.
And so they would have to do some things to allow for what we have going on here with hundreds of milligrams. In some cases, we have one pack of 6 gummies totaling 800 milligrams. That is very popular here amongst the people using it to offset the use of hard drugs.
Yeah.
800 milligrams, that must scare the hell out of Health Canada.
Yeah.
But it doesn't scare the hell out of the people here that need that, to use it for what they're using it for. And honestly, even if that high a dosage was to be gotten into the hands and mouths of children, there wouldn't be a death. There wouldn't be long-term health consequences. There wouldn't be anything like that. This stuff is not dangerous like so much of the pharmaceutical medicine is, like alcohol can be in its extremes, and all of these other things. It is not dangerous like that at all.
Nope.
So
41
proper,
years of use right here.
Proper labeling, proper education. We don't want kids doing 800 milligrams of edibles. That's a scary experience for parents. It's not something that anybody should do to a young person. Their rights are definitely infringed if somebody imposes that sort of an impairment on them. So it shouldn't happen. Don't do it. Try your best not to let that happen. But it doesn't mean that you can't go and buy whiskey or vodka or tequila because children might get into it and they might get harmed by it. It doesn't mean that adults can't go and access that stuff. It means that you put out warnings about, keeping it out of the hands of children. You put age limits on who can access it through consumption spaces and purchasing places. That's how you do that. You don't say adults can't have these things. And for them to deny high-dose edibles to the many, many medical users of cannabis and to the many, many people that would otherwise use it to escape addiction, that is cruel and unusual punishment. That is a serious violation. That is violence against those people, to force them to continue to suffer without allowing them access to what would ease their suffering. It is a really rotten thing to do, and when it's being done in the name of money, well, now it's corrupt, and now it's a crime, and now it really needs to stop.
Keep them on the pharmacy system, not healthy and producing stuff, or producing or being a productive citizen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much more we can talk about, as always, and we do talk about some of the same things every week because these things are the theme of what we're doing here, and it's important. But
next week will be interesting.
Next week we'll have the results of that court case, or we might not have results other than what happened during that proceeding, as long as they don't put a publication ban on it.
Come back on the 20th.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have some information.
We'll have a result. Because it'll either be that we don't have to go back on the 20th to set a trial date, or we have to go on the 20th.
They might give that verdict at the end of the proceedings that day. Well, no, they would have to do it before the 20th, and then probably within a few days of the 20th.
Oh, you think so?
Well, they might have a time window there of 4 or 5 days. That's a week later.
I don't know what I've never been to a pre-trial. So,
I don't know if I have or not.
Yeah. Because I thought all the information gets out, and then the judge will decide right there if it goes forward or not, and he tells you right there.
And is it going to be, actors on TV screens and a judge at a desk?
Well, it'd be
is it going to be in a room? I mean, he said I could go. He didn't say I couldn't go.
Yeah.
He said I don't have to go.
Yeah.
But if I can go, and that would indicate that I can, and George and Andrew, that would indicate to me that it's a room big enough for a couple people in there, but we don't know if it's going to be in a room big enough for a lot of people.
So it's in a room, not a court?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't know.
We'll
I was waiting for clarification, which hasn't happened, unless it's happened. I can't hear my phone because I turned my sound off. I'm going to do one more quick check. Just right like that. Nope, not there.
All right.
So, I don't know. But please come down to the courthouse there. If you're in the Vancouver area, we would really like some support. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think that we're going to continue to see this spectacle of corruption unfold right before our eyes, and and maybe in very profound ways. We'll see what sort of evidence that the Crown and how they're going to present that. Maybe we're going to have a courtroom where we can have a couple of dozen people in there. That would be great. That is so awesome when you've got all those people there,
Yeah.
and the judge knows and the Crown knows that these are people that are supporting you, and people in wheelchairs, people with gray hair, people with nice dispositions. These are all ways to sway the courts, and we would really appreciate to have that kind of support,
Yep.
as well as the fact of I think we're going to see something and witness something that is historic, one way or the other. Either in them finally deciding that they should withdraw the charges, or the judge instructs them to do that,
Yeah.
or we continue on, and now we continue on down the road where my lawyer tells me we're going to need $25,000 to $30,000 raised to be able to provide the proper witnesses and evidence that needs to happen to counter all of that Health Canada is going to do in their effort to prove that we were selling without a license. We'll see what happens here, but I sure hope we get a bunch of people there. This is the one that matters. The other court dates, it was good to have people there, but that wasn't a judge that was hearing anything. It wasn't ever a judge that knew anything. It was really good for our spirits to have people there that got up and left in a big group when it was over. But it was always just to set dates, and we always knew that. This time is different. This is where there's going to be a couple hours spent talking about what it is that we are all about and what it is that the Crown
Their
thinks that we're all
evidence
about.
and your evidence.
Yeah,
Right?
that should be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And even if it's boring, we could sure use your support. So. And the other thing is that if it's not going to be a large courtroom, if we can't facilitate all of the people that show up there that want to come in, well, we're still going to have Glenn coming out and reporting a little bit about what's going on in there, for one thing, but also that we're going to have a good session out front.
Yeah.
We're going to have some signs. We're going to have some. It's a good opportunity to have a demonstration.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were at a good demonstration with a bunch of other people
I
that had a
just heard that
cause?
David Eby changed his mind about autism because everybody was protesting in front of his office.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So he had some new plan for all these kids.
Yeah, they had cut back services for people.
His mind because
Well, he should have, from what I heard.
It took a year.
Yeah, I heard
yes.
CKNW. They had a few parents on of people that were really, really concerned about the
Maybe
changes
that's
that were
what we
being
gotta
made.
do. I think
It is what we got to do.
Vancouver, isn't it?
This is what we got to do. There's
Right.
no other way around it. If we don't get out and demonstrate, if we don't have our voices heard, if we don't unite to the point where we get critical mass and we get enough people to sway the day, then the day will not be swayed. And these people will continue on with their agenda of control and taking our rights away and being able to exploit us and use us for all that we're able to be used for.
Yeah.
We need to get together and demonstrate and be heard. So this is a great opportunity coming up a week from today, 2 o'clock. Come on down. 1:30, 1 o'clock, we're going to be out in front of the courthouse there. We're going to be having sessions. We're going to be doing some live broadcasts and live streaming. And I'd love to have a bunch of people there. I'd love to have those people that support us that can get down there to come on down there. And let's make a show of this. And let's stop this before it goes much farther. Because without that, the Crown will likely have their way. And we'll waste a whole bunch more tax dollars dragging my sorry butt into court and trying to make a criminal out of me and George and Andrew and all the rest of us, because this isn't just George and me and Andrew. It's the 20-some people that have all worked in that RV over the 2.5 years that we've been here doing that, and probably the bakers as well that are all now indicted in this. That we're all a bunch of criminals. None of us should have been doing what we were doing. The government knows best. And maybe that's the ruling that they're going to get here. I really hope not.
No.
But if none of us do anything, if we all step aside and let them have their way, then that is what they're going to do. And we won't have low barrier access to cannabis anytime soon. We need to keep the fight going. We need to bring it to them in a way that will, like you say, bring enough people in front of an office and make a fuss about it, and we can change people's minds.
Change people's minds,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so I'll see you next week, sir. And
we'll have lots to
next
say for
Tuesday,
sure.
a little earlier. All right.
Very good.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. So what it's all about then, in a nutshell, is that in response to the public health emergency that started several years ago, and combined with my personal knowledge of how especially high-dose edibles could really help people with respect to offsetting the harms done by hard drug use, but also help people get through withdrawal, that it became the thing to do to make sure that easy access to high-dose edibles was available to people. So 6 years ago and a couple of weeks, the idea that I had conceived about this, I took to Vandu and presented it to their board, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users, a taxpayer-funded advocacy group run by users, for users, to help with the oppression of the drug war. And they gave me unanimous approval to go forward on their behalf, or with them beside me, to City Council, and get City Council to support the idea of making it as easy as possible to access high-dose edibles. That being done without success, with City Council not wanting to talk about it at the time, we continued on gathering donations until in early February 6 years ago, I had enough to start handing them out, and we did that. That became the Cannabis Substitution Program pretty quickly. We did every Saturday for a year. Hundreds of people lined up to get a care pack of 4 to 6 edibles and a couple of joints. For the following 2.5 years, still with people lining up on the streets by the hundreds, we did twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays. Studies were done on what we were doing and on other groups and how they were doing similar things, and the science became clear that cannabinoids, especially in the form of high-dose edibles, could help people get through withdrawal and get off of those hard drugs. With the science, City Council got on board, passed a motion to support low barrier access, and in a meeting with us, agreed that we should find a storefront and that they would support us in that, and especially if by their assessment we were properly doing what the neighborhood required. We did that. We found a storefront. We set up a beautiful store. We started providing low cost as well as no cost cannabis to people. For 5.5 months, we had a really good thing going on. But after 5.5 months, we were evicted from the store because really, when it came down to it, City Council would not support us with a license to be there, not because we weren't meeting the needs of the neighborhood, but because we weren't meeting the needs of Health Canada. We needed to put an application into Health Canada and get their approval before the municipal government was willing to provide us that same business license. We put in an application to Health Canada in September 2 years ago, and we're told 3 months later, as I alluded to earlier, that they were going to probably have our licenses by early that January, although it didn't happen, and neither did it happen the following January, and neither has it happened yet, with another January coming right up. Almost 2 years now since that promised license. And in that time, we've had numerous negotiations back and forth. I'm not sure I would call them negotiations. We've sent Health Canada more of the science, only to have them respond with that we should be waiting patiently because they're working hard on it, and that's what we've been told. Then this past April, we received a letter from Health Canada stating that their intent was to deny our application. They had 2 reasons for that. One, that our supply was not all legal, and 2, that the people that we were providing to, they all needed to have doctors supporting their choice. We responded to that intent to deny with a long, very good argument about how our supply could easily be made legal, and we'd be more than happy to have legal supply if it was done properly and didn't increase our costs. And that it's unreasonable to want to have everybody to have a doctor, that many people can't get a doctor, that would eliminate a very large population of people in Canada that really need the help that this particular service is offering them. So that's our position, and we stated it very eloquently, I thought, to Health Canada, and we've now yet to hear back from them since we submitted that before the deadline that they had given us. I believe it was September of this year. So since September, we've been waiting now for Health Canada to process that rebuttal to their intent to deny. I've been told by insiders, people in the industry, that the intent to deny is just a standard policy that they have, that it doesn't mean they're going to deny. It's actually a forebearer to actually getting your license. But here again, months have gone by, and we still have not had any positive news from Health Canada. So upon being evicted from the storefront for not having a license because the landlord was threatened by the licensing department and felt that he had no choice, we moved into an RV parked out front of that storefront because people had become familiar with that as our location. And we stayed in that RV for the last 2 years plus, 2 years and a little over a month now. Although that RV recently went up in flames as it was firebombed after a series of break-ins into the RV. And one of those break-ins the night before the fire included someone, after being confronted, announcing that they were going to firebomb our RV, and that did happen. But we've never missed a day. We never missed a day at Vandu in all the 3.5 years that we were there. We've never missed a day here on the block since we started our store here. So once we didn't have the RV, we set back up under a tent, and every day from 11 to 7, we operated our little store out of a tent, and until I could get an RV, and actually I probably could have got an RV overnight. There was many generous people that were offering me situations that I could have taken advantage of, but a number of different factors were involved there. I waited almost 2 weeks before we did put the RV or another RV back in place there, mostly because I wanted to get a sense of why that had happened. I thought that the neighborhood would report to us, and we would get a better, clearer picture of what the risks were moving forward. But that really didn't materialize, and we weren't going to stop doing what we were doing anyway, because we really can't, in all good conscience, stop helping the people that we've come to, in many cases, consider even like family. That we've known them for 4, 5, 6 years. We've watched them progress in their lives. We've witnessed their lives as they tell us their stories as they come here, and so we can't stop doing what we're doing for those people. We know we're doing the right thing for them, and so we continued until and it got too cold under the tent. That was not sustainable. We really did need to get another RV, so that's where we're at. And now we were raided. That's what we've been talking about. We're going to be back in court on December 13th coming up here. Just another crazy twist in our journey to finally get low barrier access community cannabis stores was the VPD deciding that after investigating and determining that we didn't have a license and we were providing cannabis for money, that they should arrest us and charge us and see what the Crown would do about it. And so all that happened, and so let's go check out the RV and see what it's like out there at this point. Oh, by the way, before I do that, I need to mention that we are not alone here in Vancouver. That the Cannabis Substitution Program includes other chapters across Canada. In Halifax, Chris Backer is there with the East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program. Chris is suffering with something going on in his leg. He's unable to even walk. I'm not sure how the program is going to continue without him, or if it is, but I just saw that news this morning that he's been having quite a bit of pain in one of his legs, and that it seems to be maybe an infection or something bad like that. So all our best to Chris. We hope that that situation is resolved soon positively with you keeping your legs. And man, our hearts are with you, and our thoughts are with you. So hopefully, things can go well for you. You come first for sure, right, buddy? You can't, if your health isn't good, you can't do what you're doing for other people. And so to be able to help them, you need to be good and 100%. So I hope that works out. We also have William Hicks in London, Ontario, operating a cannabis substitution program there. Mary, one of our head baker here for a long time, had to go to London, Ontario, and she took the project with her there, and it's been running ever since. So thanks to William for all his hard work and for what he's been doing there. And support those people if you can. It's really, really important. that those areas be able to do what they're doing. They also now have a number of people that have learned to rely on them, and it's important that that keeps going, and it only keeps going with donations. All of it is donations. Chris, William, Mary, myself, none of us are independently wealthy. None of us can do what needs to be done in making this program work without the help of people donating their baked goods and things. So, please think if you can help do that for those groups. And yeah, just wanted to make sure we mentioned what's going on there at our other chapters. And let's have a brief outside visit.
Get the weather report.
And the weekly weather report from the Healing Wave. The weather report is, well, it's cold.
I got it. Yeah, it's cold. But it's not snowing.
It's actually toque weather for
weather.
For those of us whose hair has thinned and ears have grown. The ears always keep growing, you know that? Uh-oh. We're locked in.
Uh-oh.
We're going to solve that situation.
There you go.
A little up security sometimes.
Jeez. All right.
I see you have someone about to lock the door behind me, so I'll allow that to happen.
There you go.
So here we are in lovely downtown East Vancouver. It's clear, which is probably why it's as cold as it is. We had a little more sprinkling of snow a week ago, just after the last snow. We had a horrible situation here for sure. It seems to me that we were reporting on the snow that was coming down. Well, it kept coming down and came down to the point where the cars were not able to go, many of them. Those that were couldn't get around, those that couldn't in many cases. And that what should normally be about an hour-long drive from Vancouver to Surrey took in some cases up to 11 and 12 hours for people to get home. In many cases, 8 hours. A lot of people stuck in their cars for long periods of time, huge traffic jams. We hope that doesn't happen again. The municipalities were not ready for that. That doesn't normally happen around here for one thing, but that was just a little bit of a freak snowstorm that made it so that the cars didn't manage to get home from work that day like they should have, and that happened. Now it's a lot better. It's just cold.
It's just cold today.
There's a little bit of snow in the forecast, but it's mixed with rain. There's no forecast of any serious dumping going on. But that's just for the south coast of
it's only
of
the
Vancouver.
beginning of December.
Yeah, well, we normally don't get too much anyway.
Yeah.
So here we are with the replacement RV. We're very thrilled with this. Got Buddy Dex in the window there. Hey, how's it going? We don't have the side windows that work, so we're doing things from the driver's door. I've got somebody looking into getting a replacement window that will allow us to see properly and move things back and forth properly, so that's coming. I like my signs. I always like the signs.
Yeah. There we go.
So we'll let you ruminate on the sign for a minute.
And now the sign's going to move, so I'm going to go over here.
Oh, I didn't even knock. How about that?
I know. I see you coming.
I see you coming.
So the sign on the back is to cover up the plywood and the reinforcement that had to happen on the back door there.
Wow, right?
But we got that on. I mean, it'd be harder to break in now than it was before, but I'm not leaving it here overnight anyway.
No.
So this is Adam. You all remember Adam from the previous shows.
Hey.
He's been helping us out here quite a bit. How's the CSP going?
Wonderful.
Yeah, we have decent people.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Show us some of the stuff we got.
You need a little piece of wood to put inside the door there to hold it open.
So that it holds it up.
Yeah.
You do that.
Right?
Well, I've got some gummies here.
I'll do that.
All right, there you go.
Oh yeah, that looks better. And then we've got some coffee.
Some gummies and some coffee. We got stuff from
I
Green
think I can
Wilderness.
Neil, I think I can do
We're
that.
out of the Gorilla Ganja. I'm going to have to reorder
Look,
some of that.
Neil,
Right.
Neil, I got a light.
Oh, you got a light going?
I got a light, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah, there you go. You just ask.
And we got some cookies.
Once again, I become redundant.
And
Here, I'll try to hold the door and do the camera and keep the light on. There you go.
I got
All right, we got it.
I got the door.
Okay, what do you got there, Adam?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to turn my light
And
on.
we got some sticky icky gummies.
There you go.
Mad Hatter stuff.
And some Rice Krispie Squares.
That's from Mary.
Yep.
Hi,
And they're
Mark.
so
Everybody
good.
needs a
Thank
joint.
you, Mary.
Yeah, these are the joints. So
Yeah.
we got a bunch of things for people.
Yeah.
As always,
Thanks to our donors.
we're out of caps.
Yes.
I got to go pay a visit to Dirty Dave. I was hoping he'd come and visit us. I love when he comes and visits us. But, you know, we always have something for people. We don't turn anybody away. We got John Murray making muffins and cookies. Michael the Cookie Monster makes cookies for us as well. So there's always stuff here for people. There's a bunch of people that are part of the program. They come and get 420 milligrams every 4 days for free. And then there's other people that come and they don't have money and they're not part of the program. Well, they get one of John's muffins or a cookie and a joint or something like that. We do that dozens of times every day. There's a whole bunch of people that are relying on the program, even though they're not really part of the program, but they're kind of part of the program. So that's what goes on with that. Let's go on inside.
All right.
How do we go inside?
Let's go inside. Let's go inside.
Let's go this way.
Oh, no, George wants to go inside.
We'll check it out.
We'll get out. There's room for you.
Okay.
Got bins and everything.
Thanks.
Another light there as you go in.
Cool.
Check out the light.
So it's a little different layout in here for sure.
Oh, it is.
We're using the front area to help people that come here for the Healing Wave. We do some processing back here. We put together our famous 5 bags. That's one of the things that has been so important. It's been well over a year now that we've had cannabis for $1 a gram.
Yeah.
What we've done is we've put together bags with 5 grams. It's all bud. It's not shake. It's not leaf. It's not bottom bag. It's not crappy weed. It's good weed. I believe the strain we have right now is Burmese.
Wow, Burmese.
Yeah, got
Nice.
some Burmese there.
Check that out, people. Yeah.
It's been
5
very
for 5,
good for
right?
a long time. And that's we call that our 5 for 5 bag, 5 grams for $5. Everybody gets 1 per day per person. That's the limit. Otherwise, people would buy large amounts and they'd just repackage it and resell it other areas. And we're not here to do that. We're here to try to help people get what they need.
That's what you're doing. It's helping people, right? Yeah.
So we do have that. We have a lot of other things as well. I kind of pride myself on having prices that are considerably lower than anybody else by a long shot on many of the things that people need, like the tears from heaven, as we call them, the shatter, the hash.
Vape
Come and
carts.
check us out. The vape carts. Now
Yeah.
we just reduced our prices down to $35 for the battery and the cart.
Nice.
So that's a heck of a deal. These are full gram carts, and also it's really high quality material, right? Like we didn't lower the quality to lower the price.
Made with D9 distillate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're
And
at.
that's how you
here.
help people at the CSP, right?
No, that's how we
Because-
help people with the Healing Wave.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We
yeah,
do
right.
have
Sorry.
a collaboration going on between the Healing Wave dispensary and the CSP.
Okay.
The CSP is all by donation. The CSP does provide some low-cost cannabis and always has to raise money. It has in the form of setting up booths at the different protests, 420 Cannabis Day. Over the years, the CSP has always had a presence there. There's always been cannabis available at low cost to raise money for what we do with the CSP. It's an important component. It's why we ended up in the collaboration with the Healing Wave, because when we were going to go full-time in a store, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, we extended that back in March to 7 days a week. There's rent to pay, and we're still paying rent on that store, by the way. That's the address that we're using for Health Canada, and we're waiting for. Never thought it was going to be over 2 years of paying rent on a storefront that we can't use because Health Canada won't give us that piece of paper with a signature on it. But that's where we're at with that, and so in needing to have money to pay rent and hydro and to remunerate the volunteers for being here, because it's now an 8 hour a day shift, 6 days a week. We did have to provide low cost cannabis to raise that money. But what happened out of that was that there was an understanding on our part of the people that were now accessing the low cost cannabis as opposed to the people that were accessing through the program, is that there's a huge demographic of people that need to have low barrier, discreet access, and not a program that they have to register with and identify themselves as a drug user or anything like that, or get a doctor to support what they're doing, because they can't admit to the doctors what's going on. They can't admit to their family what's going on. They need to have discreet, low barrier access. That 100% needs to be available to a large population of people in Canada, and the government is criminally negligent in not allowing that. If they continue to not allow that, it is definitely resulting in deaths by members of this population of people that need to have that kind of access, and without it, they're going to die. So, or at least are at risk of death. So that's kind of what's going on here in a nutshell. We're in court on next Tuesday. We'll have a report for you what happens at that time. In the meantime, boy oh boy, this next week would be a great time to write a letter or send an email to the federal crown, to some of the local politicians here, to do whatever you can to have your voice heard, to support us as we go before a judge and have that evil entity, Health Canada, being represented by that even more evil entity, the Federal Crown Prosecution's Office, come after us for daring to try to get the prices down where people can afford it and use it for their health and well-being. It's a situation worth viewing. We hope that you'll come and help us with that. We hope that if you can't, you can write a letter, make a phone call, send an email. The Federal Crown, you can find them, you can Google them. If not the Federal Crown, local media, local politicians, all of those people. If enough people contact those people, they'll do something about it. They'll make a phone call themselves. They'll get involved. So please help us with that. Be part of the solution here. It's a way to give back. It's a way to not feel frustrated and helpless in a world where there's a lot of bad things going on. This is a way that you can help, and we can really make a difference and change the world for the better by allowing low barrier access to cannabis, as I've said so many times. I'm repeating that phrase over and over and over again. I'm probably dreaming it in my sleep.
I've heard it a few times.
Low barrier access, what could, it means low prices, it means low scrutiny, it means the huge variety of different potencies that you might need and want. It means all of those things, that there need be no barriers. And the courts recently said that again in the Warneke, Seaman and Martin case, that Canadians deserve to have the ability to access these things through a storefront, and they need to have no limits put on the potency of these things, because those limits are arbitrary and unjustified. So help us, help people, help yourself, live a better life, enjoy your life a little better, get the energy of being part of the solution. Let's get back and have some real old-fashioned protests and demonstrations, and have our voices heard. As Glenn said earlier in the show, that a bunch of people demanding change to legislation brought forward by the NDP party demonstrated outside of David Eby's office, and he's now changed his mind on that.
Yep.
So we can do that too.
Let's try, at least try, right?
Well, it seems like there's more protests going on.
Yeah.
Over the past year, it seems like, I think next year you're going to see a lot more.
I hope so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to protest. We need to have our voices heard. We're smart people. We deserve to have our rights respected.
Shit, we used to have parades down the road, man.
A giant amount of people.
A giant amount.
We're not.
We are legion.
Yeah.
For sure we are. So thanks. There you go. Thanks to all the people that helped out already to this point in so many ways. Thanks to Cannabis Culture and Pot TV for giving me the platform. Thanks to 8 out of 10 Glenn for being my producer on the show, and we'll see how far that goes. It might be a career that he's
I told him he was 9 out of 10
launching on
today.
down
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Hey,
No, I don't know. I'm
showed
going to
up
stick
today.
with you. I'm not going anywhere.
Very good.
Thank you.
And go about making the world a better place, and help yourself be a better human. Every day is just practice. You're just trying to figure out what to do better the next day. And the most important part of all of it is don't get hung up on the negative stuff. Don't get brought down by people who are trying to bring you down. Go about your life just changing the world, having as much fun as you can. I'll see you next week.